time no see. I am sorry that I have been MIA. I actually had a lot to do right after the Nashville Boogie, so I haven't actually been able to film anything until today. And I thought it was a great time to do a summer makeup tutorial, especially one that's inspired by the sort of bronze 1950s look that was really popular around the time of Grace Kelly, Ava Gardner. Anytime that you saw them with their little scarf around their head riding in a car, they had on something similar to this. It's a lot of makeup. It's by no means a natural summer makeup, but I love it. It's my totally favorite type of makeup to do in the summer. It features a bronze 1950s eye, lots and lots of lashes, and a glossy orange lip. So I also put a little bit of a faux tan on my face because I do really like to use a bronzer in the summertime. So that's what we have done today. And the main reason that I wanted to do this tutorial is because I wanted to feature a palette that has become very quickly one of my very favorite all-time palettes. And I mentioned it in a prior video. It is a pricey palette. I did a soft glam review and talked about how great that palette is and what a great value it is, especially for the money. And unfortunately, this one is not as great a value, but to me, it is absolutely worth it. If I had the funds to, I actually was sent this for the purpose of promotion for the girl who is selling it, so I will be happy to supply her link in the comment bar below. But I actually would shell out the cash for this. This is an amazing palette, and it's by a company called Beautycounter. I had never heard of this company before. A girl came into the Clinique counter fairly recently, and she wanted me to do her makeup for her wedding, and she brought her own eyeshadow. She said that she had a very strong sensitivity to most eyeshadows, and so she had kind of sought out this brand, which is a vegan, cruelty-free, organic brand. And she was really excited about this palette. So I used this palette on her along with almost everything else we used was Clinique, but I used this eyeshadow palette exclusively on her, and I was amazed at the quality of the eyeshadows. So a friend of mine started selling Beautycounter. I believe this palette is around $80. It comes with 18 eyeshadows, but they are pretty large. And so, you know, hopefully you'll be as excited about it as I am, because you can do both cool and warm tone looks with this. I'm loving this kind of bronze, easy transition eye. It's such a nice, subtle color change, but the mattes blend beautifully. The shimmers are glorious. It is just an amazing palette. So this is the palette. It's called the, golly, it's not written on the palette and I cannot remember what it's called. Natural Eye Palette, I think, is what it's called. I'll post that below, or I'll put a little annotation somewhere. That these are the colors. Aren't they pretty? They're gorgeous. So you have a matte charcoal shade, which is actually a warm tone charcoal. Don't ask me how that's possible, but it is. It's fantastic. It's like a super true, like black brown. So it's fantastic. I mean, just look at just one finger swipe. It's so fantastic. This color is called Sienna. It's a deep rust color. We have Canyon, which is a kind of muted, warm clay brown. We have Ash, which is a true charcoal gray, or slate gray actually. Definitely a cool tone gray. We have Espresso, which is a deep brown. This is the only shadow that is slightly chalky. It has a bit of fallout to it, so you do have to go into it a little more carefully, a little light-handed. Then we have a gorgeous, let me just like rave over this color for a minute. This color is called Bordeaux. It is a wine-toned brown. Okay, and then we have a shade here, so you can see how it looks. I think I should take pictures and put this on my blog. I don't typically do that, but I feel like that you're not getting a true representation of what these colors look like here. So then there's this tone here, which is called Mink. This is a super sheen kind of cranberry. Then we have a color called Spice that has a lot of sheen to it as well. It's like a shimmery taupe. The sheens are more like a metallic than they are a sheen. And then we have a color here called Storm that is a very beautiful steel gray. Then we've got rich bronze, which is, oh man. Then we have a color called copper, which is actually a rose gold copper. I don't know if you can see it very well. There it is. Kind of a rose gold copper shade. Then we have a color called cashmere. This is your sort of shroom by MAC. It has a lot of the same intensity as shroom, but also I feel like, well, actually it has the same sheen as shroom, but I feel like it's more intense. This color is phenomenal. This looks so beautiful with the Bordeaux and the mink, which is why they're probably on top of each other here. But this color is called Pink Champagne. It's right here. Another kind of rosy gold. This color is Cherry Blossom. Shimmery pale pink, metallic pink. It's beautiful. And these metallics actually apply really great with a finger, and I did that in the video right on my lid with that copper color, or actually the color Gilded, which I'm about to show you. I used that with my finger. This is platinum, just a blue-based platinum. This color is Gilded. This is the color I have on my lid. It's true gold. And I've used some ColourPop eyeshadows that have gold in them. They're very pretty, but I feel like that these actually have a little bit more payoff, and of course the price reflects that. This color is not very pigmented, but it is a great transition color. This is called Soft Peach. It's a matte, and then the last shade is Eggshell, which is a matte ivory. The matte ivory shade and the soft peach do not have as much color payoff as the, let me think, Blanc Type by MAC is one of my favorite nude kind of eggshell colors. It's not as much payoff as that. Also, the soft peach is not as much payoff as the color called Orange Soda in the Soft Glam. It's a little bit more sheer. That's the only subtle disappointment to this palette, is that the matte Soft Peach and the matte Eggshell are not quite enough color payoff. However, they are buildable and they have great longevity and blendability, so it's sort of a trade-off. Either way, I don't typically do reviews, and I thought I would do this in the form of a tutorial to kind of get the product out there. I will also hashtag this as a review of the product, but I feel like when I do, because my channel doesn't have a huge audience, I feel like when I do reviews, they tend to be very, very specific and targeted towards people who are interested in seeing a review for that particular product. So therefore they may not get as many hits or as much traffic. So this way I feel like that this kind of caters towards what my channel is about, which is vintage beauty. And hopefully this will kind of give you an understanding of how this palette works with that in mind. But yeah, I've missed everybody. I actually really had a blast making my tutorial today, but I think I've kind of narrowed down a good time that will be for me to film, so I'll be able to actually get videos to you more regularly. And I am going on 10 years on YouTube. I will be, well, my 10-year anniversary will be in November. And I am so thrilled that I'm still here and that I still have a loyal following. It makes me so happy. I don't have a huge number of followers, as you know, but I'm not really concerned about that. I'm more concerned about the fact that those of you who have been around for so long have continued to, you know, give me requests and keep me motivated. And that's really what this channel was all about, is kind of keeping me motivated and taking me on a journey to discover what my own vintage taste and aesthetic would be. So anyway, I'm going to do some more videos coming up soon that are sort of talky videos. I'll do a favorites video for the summer, and then I'll also be doing a video about my favorite YouTubers. Not just vintage YouTubers, but just my favorites, the ones that I go to over and over again. But anyway, the tutorial is coming up, and enjoy that. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
So I'm starting off with my blush, or my foundation, and my eyebrows already applied, and drinking my coffee out of this ridiculously stupid mug. I'm really dumb. Anyway, so foundation and eyebrows already applied, and I'm going in with my Ultimate Nudes palette, which is the whole purpose of this particular tutorial. Starting out with a primer. This is the Nude Rose by, the Touch Base Nude Rose by Clinique. It's the color Nude Rose. It's a pretty good primer. It's not great, and I don't like how it dries out. It's badly packaged. But it works okay, and I'm using that right now as my primer. And the color is very washed out. Don't have an ideal setup for makeup, so this is really more about color placement than it is about accurate reading of color. But I'm going in with the color Eggshell, and I'm using the brush that came with the palette. It's a decent brush. It's kind of got a fluffy side and a more angled side, and I'm using the fluffy side to apply the color Eggshell all over, from lash line to lash line, or lash line to brow. Then I'm going in with Soft Peach and brushing that into the crease as a transition shade. You will not be able to tell that it is even being applied with this color, but that's what I'm doing. And I'm using that same fluffy brush. I usually go from light to dark with these type of looks. I think it gives you a really, really nice soft gradient, and that's what I did in this particular case as well. And then I'll go in with the color called Canyon, which is a warm brown, and I'm going to go into the crease with that using the same fluffy brush, just the outer edge of the crease this time. And you'll see that it applies a little bit patchy at first, but I'm going to go in with a clean blending brush, and it will blend really, really nicely. And that's when I do that. So it's a clean blending brush now by Sigma, and I'm just going over that color just to blend it really, really nicely. And I think the reason that it looks so gold is because I'm in zoom. Maybe I need to not be in zoom. Anywho, back to somewhat natural lighting. And I'm taking the color Sienna, which is that nice rusty brown, and I'm going in with a pencil brush on the outer edge only, just in the outer V on the outer part of the lid. And that's going to just add a little bit more of definition there. And I'm just using my pencil brush to do that on both sides. And then I will take that same shade. Anytime that I reach a shade that I like for the bottom lash line, I'll go ahead and apply it. And I'm sure you hear my dog. He does not want to be tied up right now. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing there. And now I'm going to go in with the color Espresso. This is the darkest shade that I'll be using, and I'm going to use that with the pencil brush on the outer edge of the eye, right over where I applied the Sienna, using the pencil brush to sort of blend it as I apply it, but I'm keeping that a little bit more defined than the last color, and concentrating it more at the outer lash line as opposed to the outer V. And I'm keeping it a little thicker at the edge, and then I also applied just a little bit underneath the eye, and I'm using that same clean blending brush to blend everything into place. And now I'm going to go in with the color Gilded. I'm just going to use my finger and pat that onto the lid. It looks so much prettier when you use a finger, and I also didn't want to use too much. I didn't want to scatter this color too much or scatter the shimmer too much, because this is not really a vintage look. The glitter isn't, so I wanted to keep it as minimal as possible and still kind of keep that retro vibe going. So I just applied that with a finger at the lid, and now I'm going to take that color Espresso again and go on my underlash or my bottom lash line and apply it as a liner. And I will still blend this out with the pencil brush, because the only defined line I want in this entire makeup are the brows and the winged liner. That way it still has somewhat of a 50s vibe. You'll see that even the shape of my eyebrows are a little bit more 50s. So here I am blending that bottom lash line with my pencil brush. And the mirror that comes in the Beauty Counter palette is amazing. Just thought I'd go ahead and let you know that. Clinique Pretty Easy Lining Pen. Excellent liner. It's a little bit light, so you might have to go over it a few times, but I like the soft look of a brown wing, especially with a bronzy summer look. So for a better indication of how I apply my winged liner, it's best to go to my 3-step wing liner tutorial. I don't always apply it exactly the same way, but that tutorial makes it a lot easier to see what I'm doing. It's hard for me to film winged liner. I have a lot of respect and admiration for people who can film it, because I always feel like my hand is in the way. But it's just a nice thick 50s wing with a little bit of a point at the end, a little bit sharper point at the end, and just try to keep it even on both sides. And then I'm going to apply my Super Volume Mascara by Clarins. This is a black mascara, and it's so great. It doesn't make my lashes feel brittle or anything, and it's really excellent stuff. So it'll keep your lashes nice and thick, and then you can go in with your false lashes later and just really, really boost them up. But I'm going to apply a couple of coats of this. I'm going to apply it to both the top and the bottom. Here I am applying it to the bottom, just a little wiggle there. And then I'm going to go in with a bronzer. This is an old bronzer. I have no idea how old it is, but it's really old. And this is by Bare Minerals, but I love the color. So hey, I'll keep using it until it just makes my face fall off. But I'm just applying it at the upper cheekbones and at the temples just to give myself a little bit of a faux tan. Just a little bit more, and also just brushing a little along the bridge of my nose. And then I'll use the Holiday Super Shock Cheek. In the matte Super Shock Cheek, I'll apply that on the apples of my cheeks. And my lashes have been sitting with the glue on them for a little while, so after it was tacky, I'm going to go ahead and apply these. These are nice, full, thick, long lashes. I don't remember exactly what number they are, but they're by Ardell. And just find something that's nice and glamorous, but still a little bit wispy so that it's not going to be too much for daytime. And we'll make sure you lift them at the outer edge so that they're not going to be too heavy or pull your lashes down, pull your eyes down. And then I'm applying a matte orange color from ColourPop. This is really, really beautiful, and I think it's called Tiger Lily, but it's bright orange, it's super pretty, and I'm going to use a nude lip liner right afterwards just to kind of edge out my lips, but I don't want it to be too, I definitely don't want it to be too dark a liner. I'm just using a nice mute color. So after I've lined and defined the lips, I'm going to go in with a lip gloss. This is actually old as well. It is Flurry of Fun by MAC. I'm sure all of you remember this from around 2009. So don't use old lip glosses like me. But I really like it. And I just put it on the center of the lips just to give them a little bit of a pop. And that gives it that kind of coral punch that a lot of lip glosses and lips had back in the 1950s. But yeah,